Edwin Carrion, and we're going to have a good conversation today. He's a real estate developer, and he's ex-military. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to cover a lot of different topics today. I don't even know what we're going to cover. But Edwin, how did you end up in entrepreneurship? Can you tell a little bit like your past story? I know I kind of mentioned it right there, but tell us a little about how you ended up where you're at right now.
Hey, Daniel, thank you. Thank you for having me here. I appreciate it. But before I get to that, let me correct you real quick. So it's when you're a Marine, it's never an ex-military. It's a Marine because once a Marine, always a Marine.
There you go.
Everybody else, Army, Navy, ex-military. Marines, a former Marine. But
There you
no,
go. Sorry
it's a
about that.
fight thing that we always talk about. We say, thank you for having me, Joshua. I appreciate it. Pleasure meeting you. A great, looking forward to having this conversation, this talk with you, because I know from our little talk prior to starting this, we have a lot of things that we share in common. So I like that part, and I'm very thankful to be here again.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
So let's do a quick rundown, and then we'll go into all the stages of my life. Uh, Real estate developer, former DJ. I started as a bag boy in Winn Dixie, packing groceries for people. From there on, I started a DJ company, and then I started also a car washing company. From there on, I joined the military. After my military career, had a great time. Came out, became a real estate developer, made a lot of money, lost it all, went bankrupt, got into the jewelry business, made some cash, and I started creating what is called generational wealth, making sure I don't lose all my hard earned money. From there on, I went back into real estate development. I sold my jewelry company in 2014, went back into real estate development. After real estate development, sold my company again. 2017, bought a transportation company, and now I own a pretty large transportation company. I also do real estate development where I build high-end luxury homes and multifamily projects. I own an investment company where we invest in the Forex market. And last but not least, I am a mentor and a business consultant. I teach people how to live life to the fullest, or to better say it, how to have a balanced life and you're able to enjoy life to the fullest.
That's an amazing. How long were you in the military? How long were you in the Marines?
I was in the Marines 8 years, four and a half active duty, and another 4 years inactive.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I had my brother was in the Marines for 6 years, so
And you
he
should have known better.
he was stationed. I mean, he's never correct. I mean, he's been out of the Marines for 10 years, and he hasn't said anything about it. So
Well, have you ever told them an ex-Marine?
no, I've never called him an ex-Marine.
That's why. Do it once and you'll see.
Yeah, I'll have to do that. But I appreciate. I'll remember that next time because
Okay.
it's one of those things that everybody overlooks and not a lot of people know. So I
Yes.
appreciate the insight because everywhere it's a learning experience. I'm here to
Yeah.
learn.
We're always learning.
So one thing I'm curious about is your jewelry business. I've never heard of anybody in the jewelry business. You bought and sold that. How was it operating a jewelry business?
Well, it wasn't a jewelry business per se. Let me get to that. So in 2007, as a lot of people know, the market crash,
Uh huh.
real estate, when the real estate bubble crashed, right? So
Hmm.
everybody was hurting. A lot of people needed money. So I started what is called the cash for gold type of business, meaning that we open stores inside the malls and we'll buy broken and unwanted jewelry from people. And by buying their broken and unwanted jewelry, we used to help people by giving them money for them to be able to pay their car, put fuel on their cars, pay their grocery bills, or just pay the rent. And everybody in the United States, everybody in the world has some type of jewelry, especially women. And it's so crazy to know that women carry so much broken jewelry with them at all times. So we have people come to our stores and they open their purse and they'll be like, "Oh, I have this. I lost my other earring. Can I sell this loose earring?" And those are the things that we'll buy. And once we accumulated all that jewelry, we'll melt all of that and we recycle to create brand new jewelry.
Wow.
So that was the aspect of the jewelry business that we were into.
Wow. So I actually, side note, I went through this myself because I actually had my wife's wedding ring custom made. So I kind of went through a design process, and I was kind of curious about it because I went through it myself, and it was an interesting process working with the jeweler one on one and like customizing a ring that we made. So it was kind of interesting. I had a good experience with it.
Good, good. No, no, it's an amazing thing because you could create all these things like just like you said, you customize your wife's ring. I did the same thing for my wife. So she wanted a ring from Mayors, like this. It was a beautiful design, and then she wanted this other ring from Tiffany. So I got both of them and I combined them into one. So it's like a one of a kind, unique ring that you can never find anywhere else.
Yeah, yeah, that's how mine is. That's how my wife's is too. And it was a good process because a lot of people they just buy whatever's there, and I'm like,
Yes.
no, we're gonna do things a little different this time. You kind of design and make stuff your own. It's kind of
Yeah,
cool.
and it becomes more of a sentimental value or sentimental piece, especially if you take an old piece of jewelry that you have that maybe you no longer wear anymore, and you melt that and use the same precious metals to create whatever new piece of jewelry you want to do.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's cool. So let's kind of segue into real estate. So are you designing your homes? Are you getting you have a designer that comes in and designs them? Because you showed a picture earlier that I was kind of curious to see. I don't know if you want to cover that again. It's kind of cool to see. And where are you building them? That's my second question.
Um, well, I'm in Miami, so I'm a big believer in that I like to be present for my projects. I'm a person, especially because I do high-end projects, and when
Okay.
I mean high-end luxury projects, meaning I build houses that are $3 to $10 million. Those are my projects. So I like them where I'm able to go touch, see them, and feel them within a couple of hours. So I build in Miami because I live in Miami.
Yeah.
And do I design? I'm not a designer, I'm not an architect, but I know what I want. And from experience, I know what people want. And I always try to add value to all my projects. So the way that I add value to my projects is if I'm going to build a $3 million house, I'm going to go look at all the $5 million houses that are being built and what is it that they're putting on a $5 million house. And if I could take a couple of those things from a $5 million house and put it on a $3 million house, that's how I add the value. So when my clients come and they tell me, Edwin, your house is worth $3 million, I'm like, yeah, and but it has a lot of $5 million features. So I start going through them of the $5 million features that I have in the house, and that's how people fall in love with those houses. You add value to everything you do.
No, that's amazing. So how many new builds have you done? And if you want, if you can post a picture too. I know you have the ability to show it. Just so people can visually see it
Okay.
because it's a cool.
On the high-end luxury market, I don't do that many homes.
Okay.
So far we have built seven, like around six or seven houses.
Nice.
Um, right now, I'm working on starting to design a new project, which is going to be a $10 million house now. But the team, the architect, I tell the architect my idea. So I tell him this is what I want. I
Yeah, yeah,
want 6 bedrooms, 2-story, 4-car garage. I give him my idea. He brings me the plans, and then from there I start nitpicking on the details. So I'm like, okay, instead of this bedroom being 12 by 12, I want it to be 14 by 14, and I want the closet to be bigger than the bedroom. And I start going through those details. So that's how I input the design into the house.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and it's not so much the design; it's more the layout of the house. When it comes to the interior design, like finishes, picking all the finishings and all these details, that's where my wife is part of the team. She's the one that has the built-in sixth sense into her that this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what goes here, and then I fight with her because I'm the one that tells her, no, this is too much money. Let's look at another option. So we waste like 3 hours looking at other options to come back to the first thing that she picked. I'm like, you know what? This is the best option. This is what we need to put in the house.
No, it's amazing. It's amazing you have your wife on your team. Yeah, she
Yeah.
has a design's eye.
No,
But
no.
7 houses is a lot because you're doing large square footage houses. Like your probably project to build takes 12 months or more, right?
12 months, yes. From groundbreaking until completion is an average of 12 months.
Wow, that's a long term project. That's a
Yeah.
long term project. Um, do you have like, are you building in certain areas in Miami, or you're just trying to look for certain size lots? Because this is where I come in. This is we're the land guys right here.
Yeah,
We do a lot of the land stuff. So, what type of lots are you looking for in Miami? And like, are you looking for certain sizes, certain neighborhoods, all that stuff? Because of course, you're not going to build $1 million house in the wrong neighborhood, right?
exactly. So I'm a big believer that you have to be the shark in the pond, not the small fish in the ocean. And I tend to focus on only one area and one area only, because you get to know the area. So as soon as something comes up for sale, you're like, oh, I know exactly where that property is. You don't even need to do due diligence because you're able to put an offer right away. So if I'm focused into, let's say, the whole Miami market, when something comes in the market, somebody calls me, oh, look, I have this property. I need to research and figure out where it is, if that's going to be good, what's around it, what has sold. But I tend to focus in Pinecrest. That's the area that I focus in Miami, Pinecrest only. And Pinecrest is divided into four quadrants. Two of the quadrants are the really good quadrants. The other two are the not the best quadrants, but they're still $1 million homes in the area because they have smaller lots, larger lots. So when I know that a property or a realtor calls me, look, I have this property that just came on the market in Pinecrest. Like I don't even need to. In my head, I already know exactly where it is, what is next to, how big the lot is, and if it's something that I want to purchase or not.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Pinecrest. I've never heard of that, but I'm gonna have to look it up.
Yeah, there's a joke that the Miami people talk about Pinecrest. They said Pinecrest is the only place in Miami that you could still park for free. Because everywhere else you go, you got to pay for parking, even to park on the street, you know. But in Pinecrest is still an area where you don't have to pay for parking if you want to park on the street. And also, it has the largest lots. It has the smallest lots in Pinecrest is 15,000 square feet, and it goes all the way up to an acre and a half.
Wow. So yeah, you have a lot of custom ability. You're putting like pools and all. You're my multi-million-dollar homes. You're putting pools, jacuzzis, saunas.
Everything.
You're putting everything in
We're
there.
putting the works. We're putting the works.
What is the not necessarily craziest thing, but what's the one thing you've done in a new build that you haven't done in any other house, as far as like maybe like a gun range, bowling alley?
Things that I have done here in Miami that it's hidden pantry.
Okay.
So Miami, we have this beautiful weather year round. I mean, even on winter, you have 70 degrees weather. So people tend to just walk out of their house, go to the grocery stores whenever you want. So uh, up north, you have pantries like these walk-in pantry closets, to store all this food and everything in case of winter. So what I started implementing in my homes in Miami is hidden walk-in pantries. So
Wow.
you have this kitchen that looks like you only have like a small little pantry door, but when you open, it's actually a walk-in room that you walk in and you have this whole pantry, that you're able to walk into. So that is one of my key features in the homes that I build. The other one of my key features in the homes that I build, it's having a panic room. Miami, we have hurricanes, and the hurricanes, they range anywhere from a category 1 to a category 5. So expecting the worst, I create this bunker room within the house that in case of an emergency, in case of a huge hurricane, you don't have to leave your house. You could just go to this bunker room and just stay there, and the house could fall apart, but this room will be there, and you'll be safe within that room.
Wow. I never would thought, man, a panic room sounds like the movies.
Yeah,
You, you put a panic room. So it's like cement insulated inside the build itself. You kind of build around it as you.
concrete. Yeah, and it's a bedroom. It's probably one of the bedrooms becomes the panic room, the concrete room, where in case of a big hurricane, in case of an emergency, that's the place to go to.
That's amazing. I never would. Man, it's interesting insight. Interesting insight. So 7 homes. That's not a small feat. I mean, if you did one a year, that's 7 years that you've been doing this. That's Do you have your picture ready? I kind of want to show
Yeah,
the
let
image.
me see here. Let me transition to this one. So there you go. You're able to see that.
This is the one you're designing.
No, that's one that we built already. I don't have the up-to-date pictures. Let me see here. These are some of the houses that we built. There's another property that sold for $4 million right here. We built two of the same models. Every time The second model that we did, we improved a lot on it, but it's a beautiful house. Water feature here on the exterior. This is the master bedroom on top, full glass, putty green on the front of the balcony, right next to the master. The rear was amazing. Let me see here. I'm looking for. This is a development project that I did. This one was on the lower end. This is another townhouse project that I built. I'm trying to find. Let me see here. Trying to find my latest project here with the pictures, and I don't think I have this one uploaded here. Uh,
Oh wow.
this is my lifestyle: houses, cars. I'm a big car guy, so. Uh, but yeah, those were some of the houses that I built.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. I could definitely see the love. There's a passion that comes with it that you it's hard to find. There's a developer I follow in Atlanta, and he does like new modern builds in Atlanta area, and
Hmm.
he's always like there's like he's really found his passion as far as like because he was doing like just flipping houses, and then he built like a new modern home, and then like he realized that that's what he loved doing, and now that's all he does now is his modern homes. So it's kind of cool seeing the passion that goes into it and all the facets, you know.
Yes.
Um, have you? And this is the reason why I asked this is because he's found a lot of success with like movie studios and not movie studios, but what's a TV networks. So a lot of TV networks are reaching out to him because he has a new modern home. So they're using it. They're using his home. They're renting his home for movie projects and showing it off in that fashion. Have you had any exposure like that?
Yes, yes. Actually, the last one of the houses that I built, it got rented to a Spanish reggaeton star. His name is
Okay,
Edwin, and they filmed one of his two of his music videos in my house. So we rented that for a music video.
that's amazing. See, I
And it,
didn't even.
and it was really nice. I'm sorry. It was really nice because from that, I got to know the artist, and then I got to meet his manager, and we became good friends with the manager too. And it's nice. That it's fun to see that how they create that because I give them an empty house, an empty canvas, and they come in. The production team comes in with all these lights, cameras, and then when you look at the video shoot, it's like amazing how it transforms the house, but it highlights all the cool things that you do in the house.
Yeah, I never heard about that at all. I never heard about anything like that. As far as the the exposure you get from that doing that levels, and this is something you don't know. And that's something
Mhm.
when you build a high end home, you start getting that exposure as far as like because he had like HGTV reach out to him. He had like all these A&E, all, and then music videos started being recorded in his house, and now people are renting it out. And now what he's doing is he's using it as like an event space to for that type thing for that type 100%. So he's building it as an event space because he was getting a lot of. Now he's making the connections for that niche, and now
Yes.
people are reaching out to him. So now he's just building another home specifically for that, just so he can
Yes.
like short term rentals, but to for that community.
Hmm. Good.
Because I
Good.
guess it's a super like unheard of niche that he does, but it's pretty cool.
Yes.
It's pretty
Yes.
cool.
No,
So
it's good. And it depends where you are. There's a lot of permits and licenses that you're gonna need to get for that. But unless you're doing it as a business that you have a large portfolio and it's constantly sustained, then that's
yeah,
the only way to do it. But when I do my projects, my projects, the reason I do real estate development now is for wealth creation. So my thing is build and sell, build it and sell it. Not so much keep it for rental.
yeah. So how do you help people live life to the fullest?
How do I help people life to the fullest? By sharing my experiences with them and teaching them that it's not about one thing in life. It's about living your dream life. Doing the things that makes you happy, doing the things that you dreamed of. And a lot of people forget, and we all tend to forget. All the humans tend to forget that, you know, we had a dream when we were a child, and we forget about the dream that we had because we get married, we might have kids, responsibility comes, we have to pay for a car, we have to pay for a house, and we put those dreams away, and we continue living a life that we're not happy. And when we're not happy, we tend to make everybody else around us the same way, not happy, because we can't project that energy. We can't project the happiness. And then, you start getting frustrated with your life because now you don't have the car that you want. Now you can't travel that much as you wanted. Your wife isn't happy. But it all happens because we're chasing the wrong thing. So I lived through that. And I lived through that. And I was fortunate enough that I lived through that at a very young age. So by the time I was 27 years old, like I said, I went bankrupt. I made millions in real estate development. I made over. By the time I was 27, I had over $20 million worth of real estate um, projects development ready to go, and I was working 24/7 nonstop. And when I went bankrupt, I lost everything. I
Yeah.
had nothing to show for it. Like when I mean nothing to show for, I lost everything that I had. And at that
That's,
moment, I said, you know what? I just threw away 5 years of my life chasing something that now I have nothing to show for.
yeah.
So the question here is like, did I live my life? Did I enjoy the time that I was doing it? No, because, I gave up on my health. I gave up on relationships. I was so focused and concentrated into being the successful millionaire person that I wanted to be, but I put everything, even my faith, I put God away on the back burner, because I was focused into that. But after that came around, I got into the jewelry business. I realized that I needed to live my life because the only one thing that we can never go back is time, right?
Yep.
Money, you can make it back. If you get divorced, you can find a new wife. If you lose your girlfriend, you can find another girlfriend. Uh, you can have more kids if you want more kids, but you can never get more time back. So we
Yeah.
only have 24 hours in a day. And every time we don't take advantage of that 1 minute, we cannot get that minute back. We cannot get the time back. So how do you take your time back? You got to figure out, what is it that makes you happy? So once you figure out what is it that makes you happy and you prioritize that, then everything else just falls into place.
It sounds like you had like some type of aspiration and you kind of overworked yourself, and now you're kind of slowed down. Your age and experience has slowed you down where now you're comfortable with what you're doing, and it's not necessarily about making that high impact. It was more of just consistency. That's what it feels like in my from what I'm hearing.
Part of that is that, but also part of that is making sure that if I were to die today or if I was in a hospital bed today, I'm not going to say I should have done this or I could have done that. When that happens to me right now, I'm going to say, you know what? My God, I lived such an awesome life. I did this, and that. I accomplished all my dreams. And starting from the material things, I had the cars that I wanted to have. I had the Lamborghini, I had the McLaren, I had the Porsche, I had all the cool cars that I wanted to have. I had the boats, I had the planes. I wanted to become a pilot. Was one of my dreams to be a pilot and fly a plane. I am a pilot. I flew the planes, like all those things that I was able to do. I wanted to travel the world. I traveled the world. I wanted to have a business where I travel all the time. I had that. So whatever I wanted to, I accomplished all my dreams. So now that I'm married with kids, I'm able to project the happiness and that can do attitude to them, and I'm able to enjoy my life with them. But I'm still creating the world. I'm still growing because I'm not comfortable. I want more always. All the humans want more. We all want more. They bring us some food, and maybe the food is the quality, the price quality, and
Yeah.
with quality, the quantity is very minimal, but you want more, right? But
Yep.
sometimes we're on our younger ages and a younger stage, it's all about quantity. When you're young, you want, when you don't care about being healthy, you want to eat all the food that you want. It's about quantity. When you're young and you're not married, you want to have a lot of girlfriends, a lot of boyfriends. So it's about quantity. But then as you get older, you start thinking, well, as you get wiser, not older, because it's about being wiser, because you could be very wise at a young age.
Yeah.
You want quality. So I just want the one person that is going to be amazing. I want that amazing meal that is going to keep me healthy, but is going to fulfill me, right? I
Yeah.
want that one relationship. I want that business. I don't want to have 10 businesses, but I want that one specific business that is going to help me buy all the things that I want to buy. So that it's about that. So it's not about comfort. It's about figuring out what makes you happy and prioritizing everything in your life so you have a balanced life.
Yeah. Um, and what are you investing in multifamily as well, as far as like cash flow assets to kind of live that life?
Yes, yes, yes. So I called real estate development the high end luxury is my wealth creation.
Yeah.
Multifamily development is my cash flow business.
No, that's amazing. No, and you always need, and I think you need both. You need
You
something that
definitely need both.
something that brings in cash and something that brings in cash flow. Maybe you can always recycle that into the other thing that brings in
Yeah,
cash flow. That way, your cash flow is always growing.
yeah. And you need one more thing. You need a passive income as well.
Passive. Yep.
You need a passive income. So in my life right now, I'm at four stages, and I do four things in my life. Number one is transportation. I own a transportation company. We got into the Inc. 5000, as you can see my flag back here, the orange one right there. We got into the Inc. 5000 last year, one of the fastest growing companies in the United States. That's my cash flow business. My transportation company is my cash flow business. And that company runs for by itself, and I get constant cash flow every week. My real estate development is my wealth creation. So I'm able to create wealth through real estate development uh, by creating these luxury projects. And I don't do a lot of projects for the same reason that you mentioned a while ago. Uh,
Yeah.
each one of the projects will make me a few $1 million every year, year and a half. So, little by little it compounds. I own an investment fund where we invest in the Forex market, and that creates my passive income. So, money that I create in real estate, I reinvest some of that money into my fund, and that brings me passive income. And last but not least, it's my legacy. I had a calling that the one thing that I could leave behind that nobody could ever take that away from anybody. It's me passing on my experiences, sharing education, teaching people how to
Yeah.
make money and how to live the life that I live. And when I teach you that, if I give you money, you're going to spend the money and it's gone, right?
Yep.
But if I teach you how to become successful in all aspects of your life, nobody could ever take that away from you.
Yep.
And you're always going to pass that knowledge on to somebody. You're going to pass it on to your kids, to your family, to your friends, or to anybody that wants the knowledge. So that's how you kind of create that legacy and leave that legacy behind.
It's priceless. Non-monetary. It's priceless, and
Exactly.
that's amazing. I always think about the impact you leave before you die, and this is one of the big reasons why I podcast a lot is because it's my conversations that I have with my kids I can't have with them right now. So all these conversations that I could have that could have in the future, I may not be there in the future. So I have them right now through this podcast. So I'm trying to leave a large digital footprint. That way they can see how their father was,
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
and then they can connect with me in my own way. Just because I recorded myself, and a lot of people like people that struggle with like people struggle with like what do you leave behind, and like with this is what I'm leaving behind. I have this whole archive of digital and video content that's just there.
Yeah. And those experiences, again, that digital content, what you're doing right there is you're leaving the best legacy behind for your family, for your kids, letting
Yeah.
them know who you are, what you thought, what you wanted to do. And they could live through that. They could see that forever.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things where my father just passed away, but all I have is I don't have very many videos, but it's just one of those things where I have the physical things that he left behind, but there's the conversations just are stuck up here, but they don't stay up there forever.
Yes.
You
And,
might
and
you
that's
might
what I talk about. You have to live life to the fullest because to me, it's more about creating memories. And I spend a lot of time, like, I mean, I work maybe, my work style is like about 20 to 30 hours per week. That's the most that I work. And the rest is family time. And I create so many memories with my family because that's what I want to leave. behind for them. Those memories that nobody could take that away from them. I
Yeah,
could buy my kids whatever they want, but that's an instant satisfaction, and that goes away within a day or two. But
yeah,
those memories that we create, like they last a lifetime. They last a lifetime. Just
yeah.
this weekend alone, it was a daddy daughter weekend. We went on we took the RV, we drove down 4 hours, we stayed at a camp, just my daughters and myself with a bunch of other dads and daughters, and they had a blast for a weekend. And that's memories that you create. Those things are priceless.
Yeah. Creating a meaningful life. It's not even about the money. It's
No.
more the experience in life you can create. I think a lot of people they charge chasing the dollar, and I think is your wisdom. I think you said you lost everything in '07, so chasing the dollar, chasing the dollar, chasing the dollar, and you lose it all, and you're like, okay,
That's
it's not really that important. You got to
right.
focus on things that are important.
But money is important, and that's one of the things. I'm not taking away the importance of money, because you
Yeah.
need money. Like,
Oh,
you know,
100%.
yeah, my dream is to have these awesome cars. I mean, I need the money. I can't just because
Yeah.
But the thing is that once you start focusing on what's really important to you, and once what makes you really happy, and you focus, let's say the car. Let's talk about the car right now because I mentioned the car again, right? So you
Yeah.
start focusing on the one car that you want, and you don't worry about the money because you focus on the car that you want, and you want to have the car. The money is going to come because your focus is the car, versus if you focus on the money, all the other things are not going to come because you're focused into the wrong thing. You're focused into the money versus the ultimate goal, which is what really is going to make you happy, which is owning the car or just having the experience of enjoying the car.
Yeah. That's true. Money is a necessity, but it's not the goal.
Exactly.
That's a good way to put it. A very good way to put it.
Yeah.
Um,
Tweet that. Tweet that. Like my pastor used to say, every time he said something meaningful, impactful, it's like tweet that. So right there, tweet what you just said right now.
tweet that. It might end up in a short form video later. Who
There you
knows?
go.
Um, what is a quote that you resonate with that is yours or somebody else's?
Um, Tell me something that I cannot do, and I'll prove you wrong.
There you go. No, that's man, that's good. That's good. A lot of people they limit themselves up here and they never do it. They never
Yes.
do it. A lot, and I hope a lot of people open up their minds as far as entrepreneurship because I feel like entrepreneurship really opens up the doors to your dreams. It really does. Whether it's 5, 10 years from now or a year from now, if you
Yes.
make that leap of faith down the road of entrepreneurship, it can open up endless opportunities that you can even fathom what dreams that you never even thought about become reality.
Yes. And it's both, entrepreneurship and also if you're the type of person that likes to work, to be an employee, finding, your ideal job. And I think that's very important. That's one of the things I do with a lot of my employees is that when I interview them, I ask them, what would be your ideal job? And if their ideal job fits the criteria that I'm offering them, that's the person that I want working for me because I know they're going to be happy. What I learned with time about people that work for somebody else is not so much about the money, it's about how they feel. So if they're happy, if you treat them good, if you take care of them, they're going to be your number one fans forever, no matter what kind of business you're in, because you're fulfilling their happy place. You're talking their love language in security, in job, in work, in an environment place. Because sometimes we tend to think, an employee needs to get paid more, they need bonus, they need this and that, and that doesn't make them happy.
Yeah,
It's about are we fulfilling their needs, and if we're fulfilling their needs, they are living their life to the fullest because now they come happy to work, they live happy, they go spend time with their life. Because, you know, being an entrepreneur is not easy. It's really hard, extremely hard. It's not impossible, but it's extremely hard. Being an employee, it's easy. Why? Because you come in your 9 to 5 and then you're gone and you're able to enjoy the rest of your life. An entrepreneur is a 24/7 constant thought of, am I doing this thing? I need to take care of that. How am I going to take care of my employees? How am I going to take care of the customers? What innovating all the time? So it's constant work. But again, if you're prioritizing what's important to you, then you get to live a balanced life and enjoy what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about businesses a little bit. Um, is there a myth that you need money to start a business, or can you start it from scratch with nothing just by putting up your time?
Yeah, I mean, it is a myth because you do not need money to start a business. Money is needed to start a business, but you do not need to have the money to start the business, right?
Okay. Okay.
Everybody talks about OPP, other people's money. That's a number one if you have some money. But there's other type of businesses that don't really require any type of money to start.
Okay.
What you do require to start a business is either the business skills or the technical skills.
Okay. And that you can use those to leverage to get the money, even if you don't have it.
Exactly.
Okay. I've never heard it that I've never heard it that way, but that's interesting flip on the words. I've never heard it that way because a lot of people think I always equate it to real estate because real estate you need time, money, knowledge. You,
Hmm.
if you have the time and you acquire the knowledge, the money will find you can find the money. So you only need one of the things. Once you have the money, all you need is the money because you can find people with the time and knowledge. You can leverage them once you have the money in place. So it's
Yes,
kind of you got to acquire the knowledge and have the time to put forth, and the money will find you.
exactly. So that's another way of putting it as well.
Yeah, I like that one, but I've never heard it that way. So it's a little flip on the analogy there.
Yeah.
Um,
I could tell you right now that pretty much, let me think, uh, three of well, my transportation company, I had my own money, so I put in my own money into the business to start to not to start it, to buy into the business.
yeah,
But my development company, when I started again, I started with no money out of pocket. I actually borrowed money to start the business. The jewelry business, I was bankrupt when I started it, and but they think, and then it goes to what I'm saying is that you need to have either the technical skill or the business skills. When I started the jewelry business, I didn't have the technical skills and I didn't have the money, but I had the business skills. So that's all I needed to start that business because I found the technical partner and I had the money that I had to borrow. I had the investors that were willing to lend me the money. And that's how I got into the jewelry business.
hmm. Is there? And look, I was like asking this question too. Is what has been like the one thing it took because there's different levels to business that people acquire over time and distance. What's one thing that you would tell a younger entrepreneur that maybe they're stuck on that can help them overcome whatever level they're at?
Oh, the one that everybody forgets about mindset.
Mindset. Okay.
Mind. I mean, I'm telling you from experience is mindset. And not only from experience, personal experience, but from mentoring a lot of people throughout my 20 years of being in business is the mindset. We have a mindset ceiling.
That hits every time.
And until we don't overcome the mindset ceiling, we're never going to go to the next level in our lives. And what I mean by mindset ceiling, that if you want to grow your business, let's say your business right now you're generating $100,000 a year revenues, right? And you're spending 10% of that in marketing. So that means you're spending $10,000 a year in revenue in marketing. That's your mindset right now, that you're going to spend 10%, meaning that you're comfortable with spending $10,000. But the moment you think about, that you want to grow your business, you want to take it to $300,000, and then they tell you got to spend $30,000 in marketing, you're like, no, 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 I'm not going to spend 30,000 in marketing. 10,000 is more than enough. That's your ceiling right there. You're not going to grow because you're not willing to risk more for it. But the other thing that happens with a lot of entrepreneurs is that they want to make millions, but they're not willing to invest in themselves to get themselves to the mindset that they need to have to be able to, you know, to move the $1 million, to be able to make the $1 million. Because getting to $1 million mark means that you have to risk
More.
more. Not you don't have to risk more. You have to risk in essence the same amount of money that you risk to make what you're making now. So to make that easier is that, people think because if I spend $100,000, I can make $1 million. But if I spend $10,000, I make $100,000. When you put that into percentages, it's the same percentage. It's still the same 10%. So you're not spending more. It's relative to the amount of money that you want to make. So if you think in terms of percentages, it's not more. But what happens to a lot of them is that their mindset gets them stuck into the $100,000. It's like me. Like I was never like a big watch guy, and when I went to buy my first watch, it was $10,000. Me, I was like a mindset, like I had to get over that. Like God, I'm gonna spend $10,000 on a watch. Like, what is wrong with me? Like, it's so much money. Like, it's $10,000. You know. Now I buy $20,000, $30,000 watches without blinking and thinking about it, because my mindset is so much higher. So the first time I was gonna buy my very expensive watch, that was a little bit over $100,000. That took a little bit of time for me to what you call give myself therapy and tell myself, you know what, it's okay. You're able to spend $100,000 on the watch. Get myself over that mindset, because my mindset was set that anything 30,000 and below, it's okay for me to buy a watch, but anything over $100,000 was too much. Over $30,000 was too much. So until finally I decided to invest and say, you know what, I'm going to pull the trigger. I'm going to buy it. My dream watch, which is $100,000, and it's going to be okay. So we all have mindsets in everything in our life, in every aspect of our lives. Like when people want to have kids, they get married, they want to have kids. Like, oh, it's not the right time. It's not the right time. It's never going to be the right time.
Never the right
Until you get into your mindset and you just do it, and then you say, you know what, I'm going to make it right. It's going to be okay. You know that, right?
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking about. You have three kids, so it's never the right time, because you're here working, trying to grow a business, and now you have another kid that you have to worry about, and another one that you have to worry about it, and they become your priority, right?
it was. It brings me to the epiphany I had. So I started entrepreneurship right when my wife was pregnant, and she's like, "Is it right? Is it the right time?" And I'm like, "There is no right time. You just have to do it now. There's no right time to do anything. There's no right time to start a business. There's no right time to have kids. There's no right time to buy the $100,000 watch. You just got to do it."
That's right. That's you got to do it. And like in real estate, sometimes one of the things I always say in real estate, you build it and they will come. It's the same, but it's true. You try to sell something, an idea. A lot of times it doesn't happen, but once you make that idea a reality, it will happen. It will come. People will buy the house that you build. Uh, you buy the watch, that fear, that mindset goes over. Now when I look at watches, all the watches that I look at, it's like 100,000 plus. Now I'm looking between 300 to $100,000, and my mindset is already at that level. It's okay. When I do development projects, my development projects, like for me to get the fear and do a $3 million project, it was crazy. Like, I'm like, oh my God, it's $3 million. The architect is charging me $70,000.
Yep.
What used to be the architect $5,000. So it's like getting over the mindset, the hurdle, the mindset. When I started my transportation company, I told my business partner that when I bought the company from, he had 8 trucks. So when I started talking to him, he had a mindset. His mindset was that 8 trucks was good enough. When I talked to him, I told him we're gonna get to 100 trucks. He just went ballistic. He's like, "Oh my God, no, 100 trucks! Like we can never do that. That's too much." Blah blah blah, yada yada yada. So I'm like, okay, how about we do 50 trucks? So again, 50 trucks is too much. I don't know. It's gonna be like, but I told him, it's like, it's okay. We can make it happen. The business model is amazing. Everything works. 50 trucks, no problem. Within 2 years, we went from 8 trucks to 40 trucks. We went from $2 million worth of revenue to over 12, $15 million worth, $15 million worth of revenues. So we increased so fast. We grew very fast. Why?
Yeah.
Not because of him, but because of me. Why? Because my mindset, it's at the millions. His mindset was not at the millions. So mindset is one of the biggest things for any entrepreneur.
That was such a key gem because I used to be a truck driver and I started a trucking business and I got up to 5 trucks and then it went under. So I'm kind of going through year 2008 period a few years ago. So now I've transitioned beyond that. But it's interesting that and I love the mindset ceiling because I never looked at it as a mindset ceiling. I
Uh-huh.
always thought as it was like I knew there was ceilings that you get in different stages of entrepreneurship, but I never thought of it as a mindset ceiling. So that opened a lot of perspective for me. And I hope it opened a lot of perspective for everybody listening to this because that was huge. That was huge. I feel like I feel like I've been growing my mindset ceiling a little bit more lately, and I've recognized it opening up a little bit more,
Hmm.
and it feels good. It feels good because a lot of stuff that I was afraid, for instance, for instance, whenever I used to travel, I used to like I'm only spending $100 or more on a hotel, and
Hmm.
now that I've had a lot of higher level experiences, I'm spending $650 a night at a hotel this weekend, and I'm having like I can do this because I'm in a space to do this, and
Hmm.
I can allow myself that freedom to enjoy the luxuries of life and enjoy the experience because when I told my wife about this, I was like, I may never come back to this part of the country ever again. I may never experience this again. Let's just enjoy ourselves at this moment because we may never experience this again. And I
Exactly.
think that was a mindset I overcame recently.
Right.
That it was intriguing to me. It was interesting to like kind of overcome that. This is such an interesting conversation. I've never been a watch guy either, but I'm like, man, I need to go buy a watch now because I've never. It's I'm still starting off, and I'm like, to spend that much money on a watch is ridiculous in my standards, but it's my mindset. It's my mind. It's a mindset issue.
Mhm. Um, there's since I'm a pilot, there's this quote from Leonardo da Vinci that I love, which goes, "Once you have tested flight, you will forever walk the earth with your eyes turned skyward. For there you have been, and there you will always long to return." So pretty much that's what I mean by mindset is that now that you tasted what it feels like to stay at a $650 a night room, like you don't want to go back to the $100 room, right? You want to make sure that everywhere you go, you have the same experience. You want to walk into the $650 room experience, right? So it's the same thing when I fly. Like the first time that I get the taste of flying first class, I'm like, I'm never going back. I'm like, this is like, no, there's like, no, no, I'm not going coach unless I really have to because there's no more first class seats. But along with that is I had to get through that mindset that it was okay to spend the difference of money in me into flying first class, even if it's an hour flight or a 5 hour flight. Because at the end of the day, some people go to me, it's like, oh, but it's only an hour flight. It's okay. No, it's 1 hour of my time. I want to enjoy my time. I want to be comfortable. I want to be happy. I want it. This is makes me happy to be in the comfort or the bigger seat and just be the first one to go in, be the first one to come out. Be able to take two luggages and not have to pay extra because I brought an extra luggage or I'm overweight. And when my luggage comes out, be the first one to get the luggage. But as far as my family, I'm able to give them the same thing. And my daughters, which they're 8 and 9, they're growing up with this mindset that when we had to fly for coach because there was no first class, no more first class, because I remember the last time with my oldest daughter, we had to fly coach because we missed our flight. So they put us on the next connecting flight and we had to fly coach. Like it was hard for her. Like, Bobby, what's going on? Like, why are we flying back here? Like, why didn't we sit on the front like we always do? Like, why are we not flying coach? So the good thing is that if you start ingraining the mindset, the higher level mindset, that becomes a lifestyle. And then the money comes so you're able to sustain the lifestyle because that's where you're accustomed to and where you're used to, versus that if you always continue living in that, and I call it a poor people's mentality that you have to be cheap, you can't spend this, then you're never going to grow because you're never going to come into the abundance that there is on this earth because you're so accustomed to living on the limiting belief mindset of, we can't do this, we can't afford that, I don't want to spend the money on this. And you kind of limit yourself to all those things because of that.
Wow, wow, that was that was a lot. That was a lot. I'm I think some changes are about to happen, but good changes, good changes. But it's for everybody listening, it's baby steps. It
Yeah,
happens over time.
everything is baby steps. Yes.
Happens over time, and you can't some somebody if you're not understanding what we're talking about, you're not ready to receive it. And that's the other thing I always talk about too is that 5 years ago I wasn't ready to receive this conversation, but right now I am. You know, I wasn't ready to receive the conversation. So a lot of times that it may go over your head, but you can always come back and listen to it again in the future whenever you're ready to receive that conversation. Just
Yes.
because your mindset may have shifted and you may are able to receive it and comprehend what's actually happening. So
Yes.
I hope people understand that. Um, it's interesting. It's very very interesting. Very interesting move. Changing your mindset and seeing things through a different lens that not a lot of people see and will never comprehend, but knowing that it's there.
Yeah.
That's exciting. That's cool, man. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
And to add with that, it's like I always say, nowadays, I mean, we're fortunate, but unfortunate at the same time. We're fortunate because we have access to all these social media platforms that we're able to follow all these people that will share with us all these things that we want in our lives, right? But
yeah,
sometimes we people get blindfolded and they start following the shiny objects and they lose sense of what their really purpose in life is or what that really makes them happy because they're living somebody else's life. So now you have all these young people, all these young entrepreneurs. It's like, oh, I want to be like this guy. I have all these cars and I have all this woman. I have all of this. But I always say is like, you got to stick to your values. If you stick to your values, find people that share your values, and those are the people that you really want to follow. Because if I'm the type of guy that start following a bunch of single guys that are partying and doing all these things all the time, my marriage is not going to work out.
yeah,
So the
yeah,
people that I follow, the people that I like, are people that have been married for 20 years because I want to know what did they do to be able to live with somebody that's completely different from you for 30 years. That's success right there. Because it's hard to live with somebody else.
yeah,
You know, it's hard to live with somebody else, and it's hard not to try to change that person because once you accept the person for who they are, that's when life becomes amazing. Because we have our own faults. We have plenty of faults and mistakes.
yeah,
So following people that share your same values, following godly people. I'm a very, I believe in God very much. So like God is number one in my life, and I give him all the success. That's why I call myself the God-made millionaire because I'm not self-made. I know God made me a millionaire. Um, and once I realized that, all these amazing other blessings started coming into my life, and I follow people that are they have a good belief in God. They have belief in themselves. They have good morals, good values. I follow people that are good parents because I grew up without a father. I was raised by a single mom, so I follow dads that are good dads because I want to become a good role model for my kids. I want to become a good father. I create all these businesses because it gives me a pleasure. That's what makes me happy. It makes me happy creating a business from nothing, making it grow, creating these entrepreneurs, investing my own money into all these entrepreneurs so they could live their dream life, but and also not make the same mistakes that I made because I'm telling you, I made a bunch of mistakes along my way.
but it's the mistakes that you made have brought you down the path to where you are now. So it's all growing lessons that put you into positions where you are now.
Yeah, and I will never change anything on my life. People have asked me, I'm like, if you could change your life, what would you do better? Nothing. My life is the way it is, and I'm super happy and blessed for it. I will not change one single thing because if I change one tiny little thing in my life and my past, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Hmm. Wow. Well, I think, man, this is such a great conversation. I really enjoyed it. Um, we're gonna put your social medias right here. Edwin Carrion 78 on Instagram, Facebook. I hope people get a lot of value from this. There was a lot of stuff that we covered. I appreciate you joining. Appreciate your service in the Marine Corps as well.
Thank you.
It's not a small feat, and we appreciate all of our all our armed services and veterans.
Sure do. We sure do.
Well, I hope people go follow you on Instagram. You got like 100 something thousand followers on Instagram, leading people through social media. So I hope people go follow you there. And I appreciate everybody enjoyed the episode. We appreciate your time.
Daniel, thank you for having me. Thank you, everybody. Hope you get some good golden nuggets out of this. And if you did, leave a comment, please. I would love to hear from you. And if there's anything I could help, feel free to reach out. The one thing that I tell everybody, if you don't ask, you won't know. So if you have a question, if you need something with your life, just send a message. I love to reply to people. It gives me a pleasure to be able to help somebody out.
Amen. Amen. That was good. Appreciate it.